Welcome to your morning cup with iBenz Academy. I'm Kara.
And I'm Ash.
And we're Kash.
Hey.
So, Ash.
Where have we been? What are we doing these days?
It's been an interesting couple weeks.
It has.
What have we been up to the last few weeks?
Oh, goodness gracious. Well, we've been doing a lot with the Instant Manifestation Workshop. We hit we passed our halfway mark, which is super awesome.
Yeah, a lot of powerful topics and awesome energies.
Yeah. We've been doing a lot of co-creation with our facilitators, the Instant Manifestation facilitators, which has been amazing. Yeah. They're such cool people.
Yeah, we're pretty awesome.
We are. Yes.
And it's a great time to redo our manifestation items since we've got this group energy going and the field is there. So, yeah, lots of work.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think sometimes that gets missed in the Instant Manifestation Workshop, that when we talk about it, for people who haven't been through it, is like this group connection and co-creation and collaboration it's like the core of it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just such a huge piece to it. Yeah. And it's the most fun part.
Oh, yeah. It is. It's all about connection, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So,
speaking of connection,
let's
talk about
where are we connecting or not?
Where are we not connected? More like it. That's the theme of the week.
So we were earlier, to give some context and background. Earlier, Kash, we've been talking about just our week and how things have been, and really looking at, like, it's interesting how we've been somewhat disconnected with one another, but then I think that translates also to with others. But it's, we had this live call, and coming into the live call, it's like, oh yeah, we need to connect. And usually we're like, okay, let's do our connection exercise. But it's interesting that this last week we've been more disconnected. I'd say disconnected more than usual. Than when what comes up.
So whenever something like that happens, it's like, oh, what's going on here? Get curious about it. I would say my default is get triggered about it. But, with practice, it's like the, how to respond thing.
Right.
And if a trigger happens, cool, it's fine. It'll pass. But then after all that, it's like, oh, why is this coming up? Get curious about it so we can look and see and see what's the real why behind it, what's going on.
Yep. So, I think it's interesting because there's a dynamic that we're aware of, that we've talked about, I think, even in the podcast before, where, powerful women united and working together, and powerful, awake, conscious, mystical women, working together. There can be a lot of open doors just coming out of a power over others, low frequency paradigm. There can be a lot of open doors to do the opposite, which would be disconnect
and separate,
and even worse, disconnect and have like low frequency engagements with one another, and let's say tear each other down or something like that, right?
When really we're like our strongest allies.
It's true.
And like best friends.
It's true.
And soul buddies at a level that's like...
When you and I start getting disconnected is always a sign to me, like, that's interesting. We're really resisting something right now.
Something probably big and important.
I mean, we're not to the point of disconnection where we're like, we obviously are working together all the time. But it's just a different energy. It's like we're messaging and exchanging about business, focused, very task-oriented, tactical in the approach. And it's not like a connection. It's like a doing, an action item. Right? There's a very big difference in, like, completing tasks versus actually connecting with somebody.
Or even just the feeling of like, oh, this is so difficult versus, oh, this is so easy and fun. And that is like a signal of connection. The flow is flowing. The chi is flowing. The connection's flowing. The circuit's complete.
And then all those like importances start to come up.
Yeah.
Or like perceived importances. All of a sudden it's like, oh, like I really have to go take my cat for a walk.
Does your cat take you for walks?
No, nobody takes her for a walk. No, like I could get a leash on her and drag her maybe, but that's not going to happen. So she protests immediately and does like a play dead mode. Anyway, but really though, seriously, it's more around, you know, the importance is distractions, right? Like all of a sudden, like work is super important.
Oh my
There's
gosh.
something I needed to do.
Yeah.
Or I really have to change this light bulb and I can't go, you know, spend time together or whatever, right?
Yeah.
It's like there's so many things that we come up with, lots of creative ways that we come up with to be distracted, right? And to disconnect, really.
Yeah, for me, this past week's been interesting because a lot of open doors to negativity that I still have running have gotten pushed open, shall we say. So that's everything from like ego blow-ups to work has gotten super busy and chicken scratches are so tempting to scratch. Like, ooh, I just really want to scratch that chicken scratch.
Yeah. Right.
Which is righteousness and separation. And then even just things like, I haven't eaten breakfast yet, and it's like 11 a.m. and I got up at 6.
Yeah.
That's not good. You know, all these things. So,
right.
Yeah, it's open doors to negativity. They're pretty much there to take us out.
Yep.
And by taking us out means lowering our frequency, making us less effective, disconnecting us from our tribe, our people, or ourselves, even our physical bodies, and all these things. And yeah, whenever that starts to come up more and more than usual, it's like, okay, what's going on here? Because that's usually a sign of either a breakthrough, something really cool is in the works, or just not being diligent.
Yep.
You've got to step it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like being, in a way too, it's like being both, you know, like realizing like that's my feeling is like, oh, there's something brewing. Like something really cool is coming in because energetically, because we are getting like super distracted, right? And our focus is going elsewhere and lots of other importances and things. And then the diligence part, right? It's like, okay, so now we start to stay conscious, stay awake, and notice what's going on. And, you know, the more that we pay attention and see what, let's say, like what the reaction was, and then becoming aware, like, oh, I'm reacting out of a default, let's say, like low frequency program, or I'm engaging in something that isn't actually where I want to put my energy right now. Like, even if it's after the fact that you notice, and you have that chance to change it. And then the more that we notice and become aware, it's like that time between noticing and what happened and the actual, like, let's say, event or action becomes smaller and shorter and shorter and shorter, and then we can start to catch it in the moment.
Yeah.
So I think for you and I this week, it's actually good because we noticed that, hey, we're starting to be disconnected, you know, like what's going on with that? Yeah. And that's something that maybe would have taken us like months before.
In the past,
in
yes.
The past.
Yeah. Or not even like looking at it or talking about it transparently, or just like ignoring the niggles, or
ignoring the niggles,
or just like, oh, it's all about me, I'm just, you know, it's all my fault, or oh no, it's just in my mind, it's not really what's happening, blah, 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 whatever. It's like, that's one way not to be effective.
And it's interesting, I think it was recently we were talking about the physical body and how the physical body communicates with us, right? And then there's also ways that like our environment communicates with us as well. So I'll share a story from yesterday, for example. So I was I realized this week I had too much screen time, right? And my body was speaking up about it, you know, and I like couldn't even look at the screen. And so I was like sitting on the couch and I was kind of resting and like pulling my energy back from the focus I had it on with work, and I was doing a meditation. And then after it, I was, you know, becoming more aware of what was going on for my body and in my energetic field, right? And all of a sudden I was noticing there was this energy of loneliness. Like I was feeling alone. And it was really fascinating because then, like, shortly after that, and I allowed it to express, you know, and it was, I looked at it, it was coming from my physical body, and, right, we do a lot of work with other people, but oftentimes in this day and age, that work is done virtually.
On a screen, yeah.
It's on a screen, over the phone, so there's not that physical connection, right? And so, the fascinating part was, so I allowed this energy to express and allowed my body, like, acknowledged what my body was feeling with that. And shortly after, a friend showed up. And, like, actually, no, it was, I heard something. I heard this noise outside. That's what it was. And I was like, oh, that's really loud. I wonder what that is. It must be Fred. And I go outside, and it was it wasn't Fred, but it was another friend. And so it was really nice. I was like, oh, hi, you know, like, you know, got to connect. And I don't usually just go, like, run outside, and I got to see what that noise was. But for some reason, I was, like, being really drawn to do that. And so we got to visit, and that was really nice. And then came back in the house and was, you know, just relaxing a little bit more. And then again, like, I was noticing that energy was still there and allowing it to express. And the next thing I know, my doorbell rings.
What?
Right? And I open the door, and it's a friend in the community who I haven't seen forever. I haven't seen him in ages. And he wanted to say hi, and he's like, oh, I got a bunch of fish yesterday, fresh caught halibut and cod, and do you want some? I'm like, yeah, of course, wonderful, you know. So we chit-chatted for a while, and then I got some fish, and I came inside, and I thought, oh, that's so fascinating, you know, like here, it's like the environment is even, like the human collective is responding to like people showing up in my field of, like, it's like, hello, how can you be alone? You're like this infinite, like, being connected in a human collective, you
and
know?
everything, yeah.
So, and then the funny part was, then I started to see, so this friend who popped by with the fish, he mentioned to me, oh, you know, I came by the other day and I rang the doorbell, but you never answered. You must have been, maybe you were gone at the beach or something. Your car was here, but you didn't answer. I thought, oh, that's interesting. Okay. And then I found out later in the evening that my phone, one of the settings to receive phone calls, so it's like being on cellular data, was turned off. So somebody had tried to call me, but they couldn't reach me. And then when I turned it back on, they called me again and they could reach me. So I thought, isn't that funny orchestration, right? So here it is, like, I'm having this week of kind of like going into like a very like lone wolf state of like work, like focus, do different things like mystical work, doing like job work, doing IBA work, you know. And then I started like slowly, I was like disconnecting, right? And I was creating those disconnections where there's the feedback was people were trying to get a hold of me but couldn't get a hold of me, right? So it's really fascinating how that works. And so it was very cool, and when we can stay aware and stay awake, right, and conscious, and start to see, oh, okay, so the human collective is basically like, hey, you're not alone. No. You just have to open your door, answer your phone.
Literally. Like, sometimes it's literal.
Yeah, it's not easy. And connections made.
Yeah.
Right.
It's cool that you were processing this stuff, and then afterwards, literally, you like get a knock on the door.
Right.
Like,
it's like I let it express, and then it's like boom, boom, boom. Finally, all of the, it's like that energy is what was like preventing me from allowing people into my space.
Yeah. That tricky illusion of separation, man.
I know.
It's so convincing sometimes.
Right? It can be so convincing.
Even though it's just BS, a belief system. Hee hee. Got that one from Inelia.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, the separation stuff and the environmental effects, it's again, that's us. We are the environment's us. And so these aren't coincidences, right? The phone is on silent or can't receive calls, or like someone shows up at the door going, hey, let's connect.
I've been trying to reach you. Where have you been? I brought fish. Will that make you pay attention and hang out with me?
Actually, yes.
Yeah, it will.
It will.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because I had a phone issue yesterday too. I was sending a text message, like a reminder, hey, can you pick this up at the store? And I was like, hey, do you ever receive my text? No. Wait, what are you talking about? I sent the text. I know it went through. And it turned out it was like the wrong app, or the setting wasn't enabled, so it wasn't going through. And then talked about it and like, oh, okay, now text messages go through. It's like, that's interesting. Why is this disconnect happening? So if there are signals or niggles from the environment about things, might be a good sign to pay attention. What's going on here?
Yeah, sometimes it's very literal.
Very.
Right? And then sometimes it's, okay, so I have this feeling of, let's say, for example, like this loneliness feeling, like being alone. So where am I not connecting?
Yeah.
You know? And it's like in an instant, we have a tribe. I could pick up the phone or just hop in my car and show up or walk next door, literally just walk next door and be with people.
Yeah.
Right? So there's nothing stopping it except me.
Right.
Right. And what I'm choosing to engage in or how I'm choosing to engage in that moment.
Yep. Just becoming aware of that is so empowering.
Yep. We could hop on a flight. We could hop in a car, get on a bike, or just go walk. And be with people in a moment.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's funny how that happens.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have 2 stories to share from the week. One is a good example. One's a not so good example.
Okay.
So
should we do the not so good example?
Let's do the not so good one. Okay. So this is a story of indulging in the chicken scratches. So work this week, the 9-to-5 job, has been very active. This is one of those open doors, like creaking open, taking my attention away from probably other things.
Here, Carrie, here.
Yeah, here. It's super important.
No.
Exactly. So I've been working on this project for like a year and a half. It's very complex, a lot of people involved. And pretty much the worst thing that could have happened.
Oh, no.
So it was like that feeling of, oh, man. And I was raising red flags for a couple months, maybe over a year now, actually. And then to no avail. And then, boom, the thing happened. I was like, oh, shoot. So in the moment when I realized, and I was talking to the project manager on this project, and when we both realized that the worst had happened, that ego, importance, reaction stuff came up of like, righteousness. I was right. See, I've been saying this for a year. No one was listening to me. And I have a pretty good working relationship with this guy. We were friends from long ago and all this stuff. But then I started to literally emotionally react and just start spewing like stuff, and I was getting upset. And I usually don't get upset at work, especially on calls with people and especially friends. And then I caught it in the moment. I was like, oh no. And I actually said these words to him. The chicken scratches got to me. Because I shared the article with him about chicken scratches. And so it's a common work language that we have, which is really cool, by the way.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's like, oh no, oh shoot, the chicken scratches got to me. Dang it. And, I realized like, oops, I indulged. I was in that moment, my ego like exploded and I got emotionally upset, took it personally, when really it's not about me at all. And is it the worst possible thing that could have ever happened? No. In fact, now that it's like done, that issue came up, it's like, okay, whatever. We can just move on. It's really not important actually. But the ego, oh, it's so important. Anyway, point being, I apologized to him. I was like, oh my gosh, like, I'm really sorry. I usually don't get so upset, like, at work and about these things. And I'm really sorry the chicken scratches came up, And so, like, it was a nice way to spin it around. At least I caught it eventually. But there was a little bit of disappointment of like, oh, man, I indulged in the low-frequency stuff, And it's good. Caught it. But, yeah. Don't feed the beast.
Right.
I kind of fed the beast.
Yeah.
Dang it. So that was a not so great thing this week. But on the other hand, another great win this week was related to this project. Things were exploding. And I had to talk to this team and like clarify the issues we were having. So I looked at it and I was like, okay, let's use the high frequency iBenz method tools for this situation. So I like stepped into the group energy of like, this is us. Like, it's an external team outside of the company we're working with, blah, blah, blah. But no, like we're a team working on this project together. So it's us. And I said, okay, so here's what we're seeing. Point 1, point 2, point 3. Okay, what's going on? Let's hear feedback from the team. Like, what fixes or solutions do you have? How are you feeling about this? Tell me, tell us what's going on. How do we support each other and move forward? And so very consciously and proactively used the we, us, and ourselves energy, the actual speak, instead of going, well, I, or, my team. It was, no, us and our team. And they really responded well to that. And having a space of, feedback and involving each other and working together, it totally changed the energy of the whole project. And afterwards, I had a colleague reach out and say, wow, that was like one of the best escalation meetings I've ever seen. It was so good. You were so supportive, and everyone had clear next steps, and wow, and it was that like stepping into that new paradigm, that high frequency experience of not separation and of connection, and figuring it out together. And that's what we did. And so we're getting things back on track and feeling much better about it. So there you go.
And it sounds like it's such a great example of not compartmentalizing, right?
Right.
Where you're not just Kara the professional in this job here in like scenario A, and then scenario B, you're Kara the awake and conscious mystic.
Right.
And moving into, and all right, let's say embracing the we, like us collective, right? You're bringing that also into the work.
Yeah.
Right? Into your work. Which is really cool to do. It's so empowering when we show up fully as our complete selves, not as a fragment of it.
Oh my gosh, it's such an important point, because honestly, that's something I've struggled with my entire life, compartmentalizing different personas or veneers in different areas of life. And it's something I've been really looking at consciously for years now. But to me, this example of a meeting, like a work corporate job meeting, it's like the epitome of chicken scratch in a lot of ways. But it's like, at the same time, how to be our complete full selves in all spaces, not just Kara the corporate job, or Kara the mystic, or Kara the creative, or whatever. It's like me. And I think even just that authenticity of being me and being like, okay, how would I approach this in a high frequency conscious way? Here's what I'm going to do. Step into the group energy. Where are we disconnected? Hey, let's look at that as a team. Let's get feedback and engage and brainstorm and then work on it together as a group. Those are all tools that I've learned through the iBenz method. And it doesn't have to be complicated. It's not always woo-woo stuff like, oh, let's go do magic. It's sometimes just very simple, like, how are we going to work on this project together, So that felt really good. That was a cool win this week about connection. So I wanted to share that, and it's a good reminder of being our whole selves.
It reminds me a bit too of like the article by Inelia at ineliabenz.com. It's your life mission and 9-to-5 job. Is that right?
It's a class. Like there's a couple articles about it too.
There's articles and there's a class on it. And one of the aspects of it too, and we actually were talking about this earlier this week as well, is around like when you're not compartmentalizing, or like, for example, at work, you're learning something, you're building like a skill set and tools around like a particular topic. Let's say for me right now, like focus is on leadership, right? And developing leadership skills, where it totally translates into the rest of my life and what we do with IBA, and just, even my role in the community that we have here, whether the Shaman Jack community or the larger community. I'm a part of a community group that supports like the actual neighborhood that we're in, and and taking leadership in that. And so there are many elements to it, and I could look at it, which I was for a moment looking at it like, oh, I don't want to do all this other stuff. Like, I have to read this book and I don't want to read the book, and it's, I don't have time. That's always.
Oh, it's a good one. I don't have time. No, I don't have time.
Yeah. It's like we need one of those buzzers. I don't have time.
It's a program one. Yeah. Definitely a firewall.
Anytime those nevers are like, like absolutes.
Yeah.
So with it, there's that, the path I could take, right, is an indulge that. I don't have time to read this book on leadership. But the reality is actually, like, I'm going to make time, because this book on leadership and other skills that people have put together who've done it, led organizations, like communities, there's like cities, neighborhoods, whatever it is. It's like there's so many people who've done things like this. There's a lot we can learn.
Yeah.
So it's like, actually, I do have time, and I can see how this is beneficial to my entire life.
Yeah.
Not just my job.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and it feels like a very interesting orchestration that this is coming up.
Yeah.
Like Human Collective saying, hey, Ash, look at this. This is cool. Check it out.
Step into being more of a leader.
Yeah.
And get yourself educated on it.
Here's some tools and a summit and a book. And Yeah.
And people who do it, right?
Yeah.
It's like also working with the people who actually been doing it and leading organizations.
Right.
And like with thousands of people. And, and learning from them, even through the mapping experience.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so lots of interesting things coming up this week, huh?
Yeah. So I think if we were to distill everything that we've just talked about, right? And I think it all comes down to where are we connecting or where are we not connecting? And then being really conscious and aware of what's going on in your field, right? Where's your focus going? What attention are you giving to things with your thoughts, with your energy, with your words, with your emotions?
Right. Yeah, because every little action we do is feeding a paradigm. So which one is it? Is it the high frequency paradigm or is it the power of others paradigm? And every choice we make, micro choice, big choices, are all feeding that. Yeah. So which one do we want to feed, right?
Yeah. It reminds me of like the image of a baby or an infant learning to crawl, right? And then eventually walk. It's like it starts out and it's like this whole body effort just to like lift your head, It's like a lot of focus and awareness, and you can do it just for a moment. Okay. And then like let's get our arms and our legs moving, right? And then slowly like we can lift our butts up in the air,
right.
and then we can lift our head and our butts and our chest and torso, everything's lifted up, and then you can they slowly start taking steps and coordination, right, with the hands and the feet and the arms and the legs, and then eventually, right, so it's this whole body focus, this whole like awareness, and eventually they can stand on 2 feet. And when they're standing on their 2 feet, even then it's like a little like wobbly. They might need some support, right, like leaning on a chair or a wall or table, like something to prop their hand, maybe. And maybe they just take a few of those steps, those first few steps, and they're kind of waddly, like, right?
And then fall.
And they might fall, but they made it, And then slowly, smoothly, as time goes by, right? And as they grow and they develop, it becomes less of a focus with your awareness. And now you're standing on your 2 feet, and it's like you've got an even stride and a gait, and it's like it's smooth, it's easy, it just comes naturally, and you're balanced, and now you can like jump off of things, and you can do backflips or front flips or cartwheels or just walk and ride a bike or run, and there's so many options, right? But it's like that, right? We start with like the baby steps of becoming conscious and aware, and reminding ourselves, like listening to podcasts like this, right? Reading articles on IneliaBenz.com, engaging and joining in our community and tribes like walkwithmenow.com, and we get reminded, and we slowly start to get more of that coordination and that muscle memory and that strength to be fully empowered, fully conscious and aware, and living in that high frequency new paradigm way.
Yeah, exactly. Baby steps. And just like the baby, developing muscles or expanding their awareness to be like, oh, I have a head or a neck. Oh, I can move things. Oh, interesting, to literally even just mapping to other people in the environment, the adults.
Right.
And then, to be honest, I don't consciously think about walking very much.
No,
you know,
it's like, hey, this is what you do. Like, bend your knee and lift from your hip and put your foot down and then heel to toe. And, like, you know, it's just like, you watch it.
Yeah, maybe if you're doing that, like, walking meditation, or you're a runner,
you know,
maybe.
Or you're a dancer, you're trying to get some
true.
technique, maybe.
Yeah,
but even that,
conscious.
right? It's all full of mirrors in the room, so you can watch and observe and learn through that, too.
Yeah, so it becomes second nature. It gets easier.
Yes.
So even in our examples of, oopsie, I fell down on my butt, or slight expansion of awareness and going, oh, there's more to this than I saw. And all of these things are practice and baby steps, literally baby steps to embodying the new paradigm, embodying our empowerment. And those tiny choices add up, because those are the things that are creating the new paradigm. It's literally every chi exchange we have is either one or the other, and it's like, okay, where are we putting our focus, our importances, our time, our intention, all of these things. So they can be big, they can be small, but it's good. So
when things start feeling sticky, or let's say heavy or stressful, that's a good indicator that we've, you know, maybe fell down on our butt. We've stepped out of the let's say empowered stance.
Yes.
Right.
Definitely.
We've lost sight for a moment. We got distracted. Something happened. Right. And then it's like, oh, okay. That's when we can become curious. We can change the direction, change our approach, change what we're focusing on, and have a different experience.
Totally. I know for me, a really powerful tool is the oopsie tool. So there's an article about this, but basically it's like, oops, we messed up, moving on. In other words, don't dwell on it.
Don't get guilty.
Don't feel any
even
guilt.
Go there.
Don't just like, oh my God, I can't believe. It's like, yeah, I messed up. It's okay.
Right.
We're learning.
Right.
Babies fall on their butt.
Right.
But they learn and get back up again, you know?
Right.
So yeah, sometimes it's an oopsie. Like, oops, I indulged in a low frequency chicken scratch at work. All right, well, won't do that again.
Yeah.
You know? Oops,
Right.
move on.
Right.
And then it's like, okay, what can I do better next time? All right, let's move the foot maybe like that and plant it that way. Maybe that will be better.
Or let's, you know, put shoes on so it doesn't hurt my feet.
Yes.
So those rocks, you know, they can get kind of sharp. So, you know, there's so many different options and solutions, let's say, right? Or better yet, like, hey, maybe if I walk and I'm holding hands with my friends, or we're linking arms, like, oh, it's so much easier that way. Let's do that.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's nice to just, like, talk about it, too, and normalize it, because it's, like, tiny little decisions. You know, we're not alone in that. And that's another point of connection, too, is realizing that there are tons of people on the planet doing these exact same things, these going through similar experiences of, oops, indulged, fed the beast. All right, well, won't do that next time. What can we do better next time? Or, oh, that was super cool. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. And, you know, and everything in between. And that's why, like, doing things as a group is so powerful, because we can learn from each other, connect, and map and know we're not alone. And that's why it feels like, for example, the instant manifestation workshop is not only so powerful, but doing that as a group, practicing connection and practicing working as a group and trying out the baby steps together. It's a lot more fun and a lot easier when we're all learning to crawl together than trying to do it yourself in isolation. So that's a big part too.
Yep. A lot of perspective is lost when we're in that isolation with it.
Yeah.
So here's your call to action. Connect. Today, connect. Yeah. Some way, one way or another. Maybe you get into our Telegram and you say hi.
Yeah.
Connect with us.
Yeah. Connect with us. Where are you? Where are you at? Where are you now?
Yeah, where are you now? You know, what are you exploring right now? What topics are you interested in at the moment? Connect on walkwithmenow.com.
Yeah.
You know, there's a massive tribe there. The Inelia Benz Telegram chat is, oh gosh, I mean, there's
lots going on.
So much amazing information there. Lots going on, lots to engage with, but just connect.
Yeah, connect with your family or your neighborhood,
friends.
you know, people at work, or maybe call up a friend you haven't in a while, or go for a walk, take your dog out or your cat.
Yep. Consciously connect.
Yeah. So that's our call to action. So let's get proactive in connection.
We can make it happen. It's pretty simple, actually.
Yeah,
There's
it
so
really
many
is.
ways. Like
It's actually our default state as like a species.
We have an entire planet and paradigm created to make it possible for us to connect.
Yeah.
So there's really no excuse or no reason you cannot connect.
Yeah, we actually are. There's just this whole illusion of separation thing. Yeah. It's so funny to think about.
Oh, that silly little thing.
Yeah.
That could be nice someday where you'd be like, oh yeah, do you remember when there used to be this like illusion of separation? I know, isn't that crazy? People used to walk around thinking they were separate. How did that ever happen?
Grandma,
Yeah.
what is loneliness?
Yeah.
What does that mean? Well, honey, last century, there was a very different expression on the planet.
Right.
And adults used to think that we were all disconnected from each other. I don't get it.
If you think of where we were in, let's say, early 1900s to now, right? It's 2022.
Yeah.
2022.
1922. Where was the world?
Where was the world and the human collective then to where we are now? Even just like inventions and what cities look like and awareness and, you know, the internet, cell phones.
Technology,
you know, there's so many different ways that we've like created to connect more.
Yeah.
Can you imagine like what it's going to be like 50 years from now?
Ooh, 21, 22.
Years from now.
Ooh.
Oh my god.
That's a cool daydream.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's like we can progressively keep pushing to connect more, and like that. I don't see that turning off.
No.
Anytime soon.
No.
So
If anything,
pretty cool.
the thing that's turning off is the illusion of separation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, ooh, that would be a fun thing to daydream.
Yeah.
about.
Okay, so that's our other homework.
Okay,
Call to
homework
action.
number 2.
Homework number 2. Daydream. What would it feel like and look like in 2122? What are the forms of connection that we have?
As a human collective, a high frequency human collective.
100 years from now. What are we doing? What's interesting? How do we communicate?
Oh, yeah.
So share your ideas with us, your daydreams with us on Telegram. We'd love to expand our awareness together and have a look and see what this feels like. What does connection look like 100 years from now? Ooh, I got goosebumps.
Oh, yeah. That's fabulous. I'm taking notes. Make sure we daydream that. All right. Well,
thanks, everybody.
I think this is a nice connection.
Yep, I agree.
It's great to connect with all of you.
Feel complete. Yep. Great connection.
All right.
We'll see you and connect together on Telegram.
Yes. Join with us there, and we'll
see you next time.
Bye.